Hello guys, welcome to the Have Lab today. My name is Babatunde, and today we're going to be talking about graphing a vertical or horizontal line. Okay, so what this means is we're going to be talking about graphing lines, okay, but you either got to be horizontal or vertical. Okay, no, I mixed it up. Sorry, it's going to be vertical. This is a vertical line. Not bad. This is a vertical line, and this is a horizontal line. Okay, so we're going to be graphing these type of lines in these questions. Okay, and we know when we're dealing with graphs, okay, we know that the y is always in vertical form and the x is always in the horizontal form. It's also given here. This is the y, this is the x. But in terms of this, right, one trick I want to tell you is that whenever you're asked to graph a line of let's say in this case, let's start with y. Whenever we're asked to graph a line of y, the line will always be horizontal. Okay, so if let's say we're asked to graph line of 2. Okay, so if you graph 2 here without any point, without nothing else, okay, now for us to touch 2, we can't put it as a vertical line, right? Because by then it won't touch 2, we'll just be touching the x-axis. Okay, and now for us to touch 2, we have to make the line vertical like this. Okay, and so once it's vertical, then we can work with the y-axis. All right, but let's say for example we're asked to graph x equals 7 or 8, x equals 8, right? And now for us to graph x equals 8, which is this, we can't put it in a horizontal form. We have to put it in a vertical form, which is in this form, right? So that I can touch it. So that's how we're going to be working with these questions. Okay, so we're asked to graph the line y equals to -8. Okay, so when we want to graph this kind of questions, what I want to do is I want to look at the graph and I want to identify, okay, what position are we being asked to find? Okay, we're asked to find y, which is this y-axis, which is this vertical line. So we're asked to find graph y equals -8. So we have to look for -8 in the graph that's a vertical point. Okay, so we know this side is a positive side. Okay, the top side of the graph is always the positive of the y-axis, and then this downside is the negative part of the y-axis. So we have to look down. Okay, so this is a -2, this is a -4, this is a -6, and yeah, here comes the -8, right? And now for us, remember, since we're graphing the line of y, right, and now for us to touch this y, we have to draw a horizontal line. Okay, so we have to draw a horizontal line that passes through -8. Okay, and now for us to do that, we'll come over here, place 8, and you can place at any other point. I think here. Yeah, you can place at any other point as long as it passes -8, right? So in this point, you already passed -8. So this is the horizontal line that graphs the point y equals -8. Let's check that out. Correct. Okay, so let's look at more practice. Okay, so we're asked to graph, in this case now, we're asked to graph x equals 1. Okay, and remember, when we're graphing x-axis, we have to make the line vertical. Okay, so in this case, x equals 1. This is x equals 1, right? So in order for us to graph this, we can't draw a horizontal line, we have to draw a vertical line. Okay, and so when we draw a vertical line here, then that's when we'll be able to graph the line x equals 1, because the x-axis is the horizontal line here, these lines. Okay, and in order for us to graph the x-axis, the line in the x-axis, we have to draw a vertical line through the x-axis. Okay, so we have to look for where 1 is in the graph. Okay, so we have to look for where 1 is, and we know this is the negative side of the x-axis and this is the positive side. We're looking for +1, right? So that's what we're asked to do. So let's look at the graph. Okay, this is a +1, right? Because it's basically talking about how do I put this? Basically just talking about because like this goes in an interval. Graphs basically moves in intervals. Okay, so this is starting point, this is 0, and then the next point is a 1 here. Okay, so in order for you to figure that out, all you have to do, what I would do is I look at the first 2 points. This is 0 here. This is always a 0. Okay, so the middle value is a 0. So I look at the first point and the other point, right? So and I add them together. Okay, so that's a 0 plus 2, which equals to 2. And I divide those two values by 2 to find the middle one here, find whatever is in here. So 2 divided by 2 equals a 1. Okay, so that's how I know this point here is a 1. Okay, all right, so let's look at it again. So I know this point is a 1. Okay, and then since it's a 1, I can then put my x value here. And since it's an x value, and I know like he has to cross horizontally, right? So he has to cross vertically, my bad, vertically. So here and then vertically for x equals 1. So check that, correct. All right, more practice. You can work on this one on your own, kind of test yourself if you want to, but if not, let's get to it. So ask to graph the line y equals -7, right? And now for us to graph the y-axis, remember, whenever we're graphing the y-axis, the line has to be horizontal. Okay, so the line has to go like this. Okay, so what we have to do now is we have to figure out where -7 is on the graph in terms of the y-axis. Okay, so we know this is the positive side and this is the negative side, so we can just focus here more, right? So this is -2, and this is -4, and this is -6, right? And between -6 here and -8, there's a point here, but I don't know what that point is. So in order for me to find out that point, what I want to do is I want to take the values between those two numbers, right, and add them. Okay, so I say -6 plus -8, right? So -6 plus -8, and if you realize there are two signs in here, plus and minus, and it's always advisable for there to be only one sign between two numbers. Okay, so in order for them to be one side, we have to multiply these two together. Okay, so that's basically saying -6 plus times a minus, right? We have to multiply plus times a minus. Plus times a minus, that gives us a negative, right? Okay, -6 minus 8. So together, -6 minus 8 is equals to -14. Okay, so after I find the sum of both of them, I then divide it by 2, which equals to -7. Okay, so that -7 means, okay, yes, this point in the middle of -6 and -8 is -7, okay? And so for me to graph the line y equals -7, remember I have to make the line horizontal, okay? And because of that, I put in the point here because I know this is -7, and then I place a second point here, and then I check. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for watching the video, and I really hope it helped you out. Have an amazing day ahead. Bye.